Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Today I'm going to be building a couple of pull sleds. Two of them are for a local gym and one is going to be for my own gym. I started out with some 1/4-inch plate that I had bent at a local fab shop. And then what I'm doing here is I'm cutting the uprights or the posts that the weights will sit on. This is 1.9 diameter, whereas the weights, the inside of the diameter is 2 inches, so it works perfectly. This large piece of tube I'm using as the hinge for the posts. That way when you're done with the sleds you can fold them down so they take up less room. Believe it or not, when I was finished with this, I measured that piece that cut off with my vernier and it was 15 thousandths of an inch difference, so it cuts pretty square. This 1x2 inch material is the rails that the weights will sit on. I'm just getting ready to scribe the 45-degree angle so I can cut them on my saw. I scribed them as opposed to just setting up the saw at 45 just in case the angle wasn't bent perfectly. Here I'm looking for a 5/8 or a 2132 drill bit, something in that size, just so that it's big enough I can put a carabiner into the front of the sled to attach the straps that I pull it with. So using my 2132 inch drill bit, I drilled a hole through the center of the sled just to attach the straps. What you didn't see was I'd already drilled a pilot hole just to make the hole easier to drill. Once that was drilled on all three, I just countersinked the holes to ensure there was no sharp edges. My next step was to fabricate the hinge for the post. So that hinge that you see there, the square one, is from that 2.5 inch by 5 inch square tubing I cut earlier. Once I'd cut that piece off that you saw, I then cut it in half. Just had to figure out where to put the hole. Once that was done, I drilled with a 1332 inch drill bit, which is clearance size for a 3/8 bolt. And there's 3 hinges, because there's 3 sleds being made, but you only see the one being drilled. Again, once the holes are drilled, countersink to get rid of the sharp edges. These holes again are 1332s. They're for the posts that the weights go on. In the background there you just saw a 1x2 get cut off. I was cutting the angles. And before I weld these hinges on, I have to ensure that the holes are in the right spot so that the post will rotate. You see the bottom was hitting. The holes are off-centered to ensure that it's a little bit above center and that it won't hit. So it worked perfectly. I'm just cutting the 1x2 inch to length. You can see that there's 2 angles on the front of those 1x2s. What happened was I likely gave the wrong dimensions to the fabrication shop that bent them for me. I wanted the lip on the 1/4 inch plate to be above 2 inches. However, it was slightly below. So instead of having a square edge stick above on the 1x2, I just put another angle on, welded on some caps and ground them to make them look uniform. And to make it look like there was no mistake made. Now I'm getting ready to do all the welding. Just tacking on the 1x2, make sure it's all in place. I really need to get a metal welding table. This one's just wood, which is nice because the splatter doesn't stick to it. I don't have to grind it. However, I wish I could just leave my ground on the end of the table and weld away. This is where I'm just getting the hinge squared up and where I want it before I tack it onto the sled. When welding, I use the Miller 210. This machine works excellent. I've never had a problem with it. I think I can lay some pretty good beads with it. Once all welded, just use my grinder to get rid of any surface rust before I paint it. And make sure there's no splatter. Just get it ready for paint. Here I'm just assembling everything. See how it looks before I paint it. The last thing I'd want to do is to have to grind something off or move something like a hole after I paint it. Here's the 3 sleds ready for paint. Now I've got my Cloverdale primer and paint. This primer made by Cloverdale I'm spraying on with my Binks spray gun. You know, I've bought a Husky spray gun, the gravity fed one, but I don't find it works as well as this old Binks spray gun that I've got. You can see I'm having little problems with it, just getting it adjusted. I'm still new to painting, but I will never go back to spray painting with a trim-clad can anymore. This is the way to do it. It's a little extra cleanup and preparation, but the quality, I rarely have any runs unless I'm just being careless. And you'll see it's kind of sputtering. That's because I didn't clean it out properly before I used it. But otherwise, I'm more than happy with the paint jobs.